All right, what is up, everybody? Shaw Scout 0013 here coming in. This time with a video from Graeme and Grant, who decided to go over the LVO lists. So, this is going to be a video with them, and I hope you really enjoy it. They've done a great job with this. And yeah, you'll have to leave the feedback for them in the comments and let them know how they did. I just wanted to go ahead and let you know that on top of this one, talking about LVO, I've gotten an interview with Austin that will come out tomorrow. So watch out for that video about LVO and the competitive talk there. And then Grant and them will be having a video with the winner of LVO and the fifth place person, Daniel, as well. So yeah, Michael and Daniel, they'll be having an interview with. So if you are interested in that, definitely watch that one. We'll have that one up probably on Tuesday, so that you guys can get some of the best competitive talk from these players straight from them and kind of hear what they were thinking and how they played. And there was a few questions that I've set up for everybody, so hopefully you enjoy it. First off, if you haven't already head to the Discord, head there and get to talk a little bit about different things. You know, there's rule questions in case you have those. There's different lists in case you're looking for any Empire lists, any CIS list, Rebel list, Shadow Collective stuff. Everyone is talking here about the things they play. So head on over there and check it out. It's free, and sometimes every now and then we'll do some giveaways for the Discord. So head there. Also, if you haven't already gone to the Patreon, head on over to the Patreon. There, you're going to be able to kind of see the videos early, and you're going to help out the channel with giveaways and everything like that. And if you haven't already subscribed and leave a comment, you're going to be able to do that in order to get the giveaway for the $25 in February. So, yeah. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy.
All right. What's up, everybody? Shadow Scout will not be joining us today. He's got prior engagements, but me and Graham are going to do our best to try to fill in. I am Grant Saunier.
And I'm Canadian Bear.
So today we're going to be going over LVO that just wrapped up, talking about the open and then jumping into the invite. But first, we do want to shout out some of the guys from Clan of Shadows that went out this weekend and represented. Nuclear Potato actually got first in the open. He went invitational. He went 6-0 with a rebel list consisting of Han, Leia, Bad Batch, and Din. Master Mud got 28th, running 3-3 with a Maul and Cad Bane CIS list, and then Voidwalker was in the Open GT, and he finished up 3-3 with a triple or a double ATST Blizzard. So shout out to those guys. Congratulations for the well and hard fought weekend.
Yeah.
But so diving into the open, we've got a smorgasbord of our top 10. Let's see here.
So, I guess kind of a little bit to break it down. There were 116 players. I think it's the largest one this side of the pond since we got 2.6. There were 30 Rebels, 31 Empire, 25 CIS, 24 GAR, and 6 Shadow Collective. Figure we could do a top 10 breakdown because you can actually get one of each at least. And yeah, it's a pretty diverse grouping.
Yeah, and all but the first place, Mr. Kevin Crow. Congratulations, Mr. Kevin. All of these other 9 lists went 5-1 throughout the weekend. So
Yep.
definitely nice representation, a little bit more diverse than the invitational for sure. But I guess let's look at, so number 9 and number 10 were both
Yeah.
Shadow Collective
Let's
lists.
start with the 10th.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
looking at Maul, 2 Black Sun Enforcers, each with the Scattergun and a Vigo, 2 Pike foot soldiers with the P13 and the Capo, 3 swoop bikes, and 2 speeder trucks. Oh, swoops with overrun.
Yeah. It's I'm glad they fixed the error so that now it's just they always have it for overrun 2. Um I don't think anyone actually noticed that that was an issue after the rules got changed around, but I'm glad it never became an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Also, interesting to see, most of the time whenever I'm seeing the speeder trucks, they're going more or less weaponless without any kind of upgrade, and both of these had the quad laser. So
yeah, definitely
some more.
doubling down on that raiding party leader, handing out all that suppression. Oh man, I will say I'm glad the sweep bikes do not have suppressive on their overrun like the like the flutters.
That would be that'd be interesting to go against. You definitely run into some tricky situations, but it's actually nice to see out of these lists on both the open and the invite, like as bad as a rap of speeders have been getting, they've been pretty diverse throughout both of these top 10 lists. So
Yeah. And then on to number 9. I mean, it's a shame that Shadow Scout isn't here because he would love this list. It's Gar Saxon with the jetpack rocket, Maul with choke, throw, and into the fray. Wow. Hey, we were just talking about this, but it's a it's a force user with outburst of speed. Uh, 2 naked pikes, 3 marksman commandos with e-stims. That is very expensive. Is that not the same price as the shields? No, I'm curious. No, it's 2 points less. That makes a lot of sense.
yeah, I was about to say, I thought because eSIMs are 8 and the shields are an even 10, right?
Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense then. And then jetpack rockets, 1 with rook cast, otherwise the same, and 2 back to HQ uplink AA5s. So
Yeah, that's a lot of Mando Super Commandos coming at you.
yeah. Gosh. You don't see this card too often, E-stims. But
Yeah, wasn't it Master Mud that was saying in that podcast with the Emperor that he's wanted to try to test out E-stims a little bit more? I know Shadow Scout likes to throw them on the units that have Guardian just to kind of keep them alive a little bit longer if they're taking some bad rolls. But he was saying on Bosk that it would be interesting to run him with E-stims in case Regenerate just poops the bed on you.
no, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that'd be interesting. I know. I think it's hard with bounty hunters in general for the most part. Although eventually we're gonna talk about one in particular. Um, but yeah, it's no, it's a cool list. Do you want to go over 8th place?
Yeah, so we've got our first Rebel in the top 8. We've got Commander Luke with burst of speed, improvised order, seize, and prepared. We've got 5 fleet troopers, each with the scattergun and the extra personnel upgrade. Pathfinders with Bispin, duck and cover, emergency transponders, prepared supplies, and the A300 config. We got 2 Wookiee warriors, each with the battlefield, and also 2 AA speeder trucks with the backworld medic and the quad lasers. So
I
quality
really like
commander
this
loot.
list.
It is a lot of dice being thrown.
Yeah, it's a lot of short range Pierce. I mean, obviously, I gotta love the Wookiees in here, even if they're not the Gar Wookiees. It's the same exact thing. Yeah.
5 units of fleets. We were actually just talking about, so don't know about y'all's local game stores, but over here and on any other distributors, fleets are like scarce. So seeing 5 of them running at you with Pierce 1, 2 red die on top of everything else. So
Yeah. It's going to do a lot of damage.
All right. So you want to take number 7?
Yeah. All right. Our first Empire list, 12 activations. It's got Agent Callus with his bow rifle, Bova with up close and personal, his flame projector, which is also going to be a theme. If you can, for the most part, you take a flamer, it seems.
Yeah.
We have a snow trooper with the ion gun and the extra guy, 2 stormtroopers with the T-21, specialist and targeting scopes. Very classic right there. 1 naked full scout, the sniper strike team. This feels more like a rebel list as you keep going. We got death troopers with DTF-16, an IRG with the electrostaff guard, tenacity impact grenades, ranged trooper with DLT-20A and the extra guy, an E-web with overcharged generator, and a flamer dewback.
There was a lot. They need a heavy, and then they would have the full boat for a bag. But kind of surprised it's not often that you see DTs on Death Troopers. Most of the time, you're taking your long range DLT.
I guess it's probably like why bother trying to stay at range? Everyone else is getting close. And then it's 2 wounds, I believe.
Yeah, 2 wounds on the DP.
Yeah.
So
for half the cost. Seems like a good trade, especially if you're only going to take 1 of.
Yeah. No. And then as far as the flame projector, running up against those super squads, flame is definitely. I think it was Gray Squadron Gaming was talking about like 2 weeks ago. They played a game of Empire versus Ewok, but it was like strictly Ewoks and a bunch of super squads, like a ridiculous amount of bodies. So it's like, how do you realistically deal with that many effective wounds on board?
Yeah.
Like, there's not even, because the list that was running against them for Empire had Commander Vader. It's like, even if Vader charges in and hits on everything and then 4 strokes 1, you still got bodies left over that are going to score. So without spray, you're hard trying to contend with those.
No, it's if they had dropped one of these storms for a short trooper, they could run this would be one of those Highlander lists, because there's only one copy of every other unit.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I guess on to
our first CIS list.
Yeah.
So we've got General Grievous with aggressive tactics, into the fray, and prepared supplies. Count Dooku with force reflexes, force choke, battle meditations, and aggressive tactics. So here's another. We must have been looking at the invitational earlier, because here's another force user that did not take burst of speed.
Yeah.
He's got 3 copies of B1s with the extra B1, 2 copies of the B2s with the ACM and the T series, 2 Magna Guards with Into the Fray, and a Snail Tank with defense protocols, high energy cells, and armor piercing shells. So surprised that he did not choose to put endurance on General Grievous over the prepared supplies and Into the Fray.
Yeah.
I don't play much of him, but I just hear it's very hard to get him where he needs to be whenever he's just a Courage 2 commander.
Well, that and it seems like in this list, there's so many opportunities to give Grievous a surge off of aggressive tactics anyways. So it seems kind of bizarre. Oh, and he's got a great goodness. That's 30 points in command upgrades right there between those two. I didn't even realize they both have it. I don't understand the need for Into the Fray. I'd be very curious about that. Because your B2s are already getting surges from your T series. Regardless, it's nice on the B1s, but they don't have to get it.
Right. And I'm not versed enough. I'm pretty sure the Snail, doesn't it surge both ways?
Yeah, it surges. I mean, you're pretty much guaranteed to get orders on the Magna Guards, so they're going to get aggressive tactics from something. So I guess he's been surge starved one too many times and really doubled down on it for Grievous.
And I mean, the other side of it too, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
He's sitting up here on the open for number 6 spot. So shout out to you, Houdini.
Yeah. Then go number 5. We have another Empire list. We have Krennic with Inspiring Presence, Improv, Operative Vader with Push, Burst, Tenacity, and Into the Fray. We have 2 T-21 and Medic Droid Stormtroopers, 2 DLT-19 Stormtroopers, 2 Ion Snowtroopers with Recon, 3 Naked Scouts, and 2 E-Webs with the Barrage Generator.
Yeah. And oddly enough, he does not have Bring Them the Hill.
Yeah? Huh.
Which I get. I mean, I know some people that have run Krennic will throw that in there just as a bait to flip it. That way they can try to get their other secondaries on the board. But definitely a good one to have with all these. I mean, DLTs you can get out there and reach. T-21s, you're throwing enough dice. Barrage on your E-Web, and then throwing Krennic's 3-pip on the board.
Maybe he didn't, since he didn't bring Krennic's 3-pip. He brought both evaders. So, yeah. I mean, he does have the Vader bomb, though, still, so.
Right, with Master Reveal.
Yeah.
I do love, quick side note, their community name Ewok for the ethical treatment of stormtroopers. Pretty clever, guys.
Yes.
All right, so getting into the top 4, we have a Rebels list. Looking at Leia with Underworld Connections and Improvised. Oh, wow. So we've got Commander Luke with Burst Speed, Improvised, and Prepared. We've got Chewbacca Naked, Boba with Seize, Flame Projector, and Recon. 2 Rebel Troopers, both with the SX-21 and the Captain. 1 Rebel Trooper with the SX and the Specialist. Another Rebel Trooper with the SX and an extra Trooper. 2 Ewok Slingers with the Slinger Squad and Forest Dwellers. And 3 ATRT with the laser cannons.
Yep.
That's the first ACRT we've come across in top 10 for the Open.
Yeah, I mean, it's also cool seeing Rebel Boba, not a common pick now, and I imagine it's become less so with the his independent standby. It's gotta, although he doesn't have charge or anything, correct?
No, he doesn't have charge, but he does have his 2-pip is pretty good, and I've been playing around with the idea of bringing on Boba and Din together in a
Mm-hmm.
list and having Boba be Boba and Din have them kind of run more for my melee options because he's got Sentinel, Sharpshooter, Tactical 1, Jump 1, Arsenal 2, Impervious. He's still got his Combine, which is 3 black, range 1 to 3, Surge and a crit, Pierce 1, and his gas stick. I mean, that's 3 red, 1 black.
Okay.
So he's got some options. He's just not as quick and spry as his younger self is.
Yes. Yeah, I haven't seen him in so long. I just couldn't remember if he got hurt by the whole free attack change. So, because with his independent standby, so it didn't affect him. So that's good.
Yeah, Sentinel's really kind of Boba's saving grace with that independent standby, is
Mm-hmm.
because anything coming range 3, he's got the gun with Pierce and natural serve to crit to actually do something about it. So he can basically move onto a point, have 2 aims, and then have his standby range 3. I think he's definitely one that needs a little bit more light on him.
Yeah. Yes. All right. So going to third here, we've got another Empire. Uh, we have Krennic yet again with Improv and Binox. We have Commander Vader this time with Burst, Throw, and Push. We have a DLT and Medic Droid Storm. We have a DLT Storm, a Flamer Snowtrooper, a Death Trooper with the DLT, 2 IRG with the Electrostaff, Tenacity, and Recon, and 2 Duvak Riders with Tenacity and Flame Rifle.
He did bring them to Hill, but he did not bring the 3-pip because he went with both of Vader's 3-pip, similar to Mr. Superboot.
Huh. Yeah, because this would have, I would understand this list bringing it, especially with Commander Vader, because now you've got your infinite courage bubble.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, and actually now since we were talking about it, I know that this death Trooper did bring the DLT. It makes more sense with Krennic because if you're gonna sit there and
yeah,
be that pass order tokens around with entourage, you're gonna want to be sitting back some. But I wonder what. I'd like to go look and see what all he played because I feel like his primaries were definitely well suited. Because he had close, bunker, close, breakthrough, recover. And the only one that he lost on, oddly enough, was close and heal
huh?
to a Gar. Okay, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, but even still, it's a lot of. There's only 3 Courage 1 units in here, so that's still kind of surprising.
All right, so on to number 2. We've got our first and only Gar list in the top 10. Another Ewoks for the ethical treatment of stormtroopers. And he was running Obi-Wan with barrier reflexes and aggressive tactics, 2 clone infantry with the DP-23, 1 clone infantry with just environmental gear, 1 arc with commander, another arc with the captain, 2 strike teams, both armed with the DC-15, and 3 generic clone commandos with Katarn, the DC config, and HQ uplink. It's good. I mean, we were talking in the Space City Discord the other day about Obi-Wan and where he stands, and he can definitely be beneficial. I think we were talking more so about how Obi-Wan can be beneficial to have a Z6 on, because you can feed them surges a little bit easier through some of his command cards. But yeah, that 2 red melee to 2 pierce 1 and those shotguns are those things are
they're good.
Tried and true.
Yeah, but yeah, our only Gar, like you were saying, but it's Obi-Wan. Anakin's nowhere to be seen in the top 10 here.
Yeah, don't think that was on a lot of people's bingo cards.
Yeah. And then our top list for the GT, Rebels taking the day. 13 activations. Han with Improv and Up Close and Personal. Leia with Improv and Underworld, so we're doubling down on Improv. He really wants to say no to something. Bad Batch with Omega, because why not take Omega? She's really good. 2 Scattergun fleets, 1 naked Rebel Trooper, 1 sleeper cell that has the Astromech, HQ, and targeting scopes. Another one, but this one has transponders instead of HQ. A naked slinger, 3 laser cannon ATRTs, and an AA5 with the unorthodox tactician and the quad laser.
This is the second Rebel list that we looked at in the top 10 that had improvised orders on multiple individuals. I wonder if that's, with Hero Hammer, it's just that beneficial to trying to stave somebody off whenever you don't have a lot of their command cards to work off of.
Yeah,
People trying to make sure Bad Batch stays in the bag for as long as they can.
Yeah. Either that or I guess Han, maybe? I don't know. It seems like overkill, but I mean, they won. But, yeah, I don't know. I'd be curious to understand what led them to double dipping there.
Yeah. And then definitely had plenty of line of sight blockers and armor with the 3 ATRTs and the AA5. And they're all throwing out pretty decent dice pools with all the weapon attachments. Yeah.
Nice. Their command hand. I haven't seen this card in so long, and I've been happy about it. But Sabotage Communications. Keep that card away from me.
I don't know if I've actually ever played against it now that you say that.
Oh man, it's very Rebel.
So let's see. While an opponent is issuing orders using a command card, they can only issue 1 order with that card. Oh, jeez.
Yes. So, yeah, no, I hate that card. I hate many Rebel cards, but that is one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man. It's definitely the theme that you're going to see throughout these Rebel lists as we continue on to the Invitational, but there's going to be either Han, Leia, Luke, or some combination of those 3, ATRTs, or AA5s, and some amount of sleeper cell.
Summer minus sleeper cell. Yeah,
Yep.
we were looking at it before getting on, and for the invitational, there were 28 units of ATRTs and 19 units of sleeper cells brought to the invitational. So definitely speaks to something. And then also speaking to something is the fact that I know we're going to go over the top 10, but top 8 out of those 8, 6 of them were rebels.
Yeah.
The other 2 were CIS.
Yeah. So yeah, here let's jump on over. Yeah. It's yeah, it's well, white saves, huh? Oh man.
White phase for the win. That's
Yeah.
what who was it that posted in the Discord the little gif of Chris and Peter from Family Guy thing? Rebels, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I gotta find that again. But yeah.
Oh yeah, that's great.
And we gotta say it now. It is time to nerf specifically the Florida Rebels. Because not only are 6 of the top 8 rebels, but 3 of those 6 are Florida Rebels.
That's right. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I mean it tracks though, right?
Yeah,
Florida's pretty rebellious.
this
So
is true.
say that as a Louisiana native. Uh, But
But yeah.
do you want to shout out Mr. Isaac Mackey from Space City? Although it was not top 10, he was the only one in the top 16 with an Empire list, and it is not the Empire list that you were thinking of. Um, it was a Papa Palps and Moff Gideon. Moff had improvised, and the Darksaber Papa Palps was running anger, barrier, burst speed, and aggressive tactics. Oh, and he had a riot control.
Yep.
That's great. He also had a mortar, sword troopers with the Medroid, 2 copies of the IRG with Electro Staff Protector and Into the Fray, and 2 Dark Troopers with Programmed Loyalty and the Assault Cannon. So, shout out to Isaac for going 4-2 with this, proving all the non-believers wrong. I know him, Adam, and Daniel from Space City did a great job this weekend. So, shout out to those guys. All right. Want to get cracking on the number 10 spot?
Yeah, let's jump in. So, we are, I will say, because we're not there yet, but we're going to jump into a CIS list here for 10th place. But not all of the CIS lists are EXD, like you might expect. One is very, very different. But this is not that one. This is experimental droids with Kalani and aggressive tactics, a naked B1, 2 B2s with the extra B2 and the ACM, 2 Deoxys Mine commandos with offensive push and vibro swords, 2 naked droidicas, and 2 persuader tanks with defensive protocols, armor piercing shells, high energy shells, and LTA.
Nails, baby.
That's no thanks.
No, those BXs loaded out with Vibro Sword and those Dioxys wands, like,
Oh yeah.
them's real good. Them's real
Oh
good.
yeah. It's, what is it? 11 dice in melee.
11 dice in melee.
5 red, 5 white, 1 black.
They're running in there. I mean, and then you're popping O push on them whenever it really counts.
Yep.
So, yeah, not
Never real good.
them's real good, especially with Droidicas and Snails both providing some line of sight blockers.
Yep.
That's That's nice. Is that standard across, or is that just a TO dependent on Droidicus being line of sight blockers?
Um, so technically, right now it's a case by case basis because it depends on how you build them, and I don't understand how you can build them two different ways because it's not like it's
It's
the
not like a
spiders.
crab to where, yeah,
Yeah, it's not like the spiders that have two sets of different height legs. So, yeah, they potentially could have been. They probably were. Which
got some good basing material.
yeah, it's it's a lot of LOS blockers. Big dice pools. They take up a lot of space. Um, it's got the recover in there, which you really don't want to see with the persuader tanks being able to double cap. Um, yeah, it's it is what is becoming a classic list for CIS.
Yeah, and even looking at breakthrough too. I mean, parking a snail on each one of your uncontested
Mm-hmm.
and having, I mean, honestly, parking snail, a Droidica on each, and then you could basically split this list down the middle and have your more aggressive, like your B2 and your BXs run in. Hey, yeah, that would not be a. These are the droids you're looking for. So maybe list. Those are the droids that you were looking for avoiding whenever you're going up against them.
Yeah.
So,
Just
all right.
go to
So first and only Gar in the top 10 is from Crit to Block, and it is not the Gar that you were expecting because it is a full Wookiee battle force, led with Chewie, with C's, 6 copies of the Wookiee Warriors with the battlefield, and 3 copies of the Kashyyyk Defenders with the Bowcasters and Recon.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean
I
that's
I get it. I get the recon. I'll probably mess around with that someday, but I'm too addicted to my targeting scopes on those poor Wookiees.
yeah. And
Um,
let's see, breakthrough, bunker, and intercept. Man,
yeah, bunker. I've messed around with bunker with Wookiees. It's very awkward because your melee Wookiees count as core for that objective, so they don't trigger the special. But it's also really beneficial to have objectives that are so close together, so
right.
it almost cancels out.
Yeah. So, what would you run if you were running this list as far as your primaries? What would you swap
uh,
bunker out for?
Honestly, if it's not bunker, it's probably close the pocket.
Yeah,
Uh,
forcing everything in.
yeah, exactly. Because intercept is really good in a list like this because you can even you can actually evenly split. You can have a ranged unit and or Chewie go to one side, the other 2 shooties go to the other side, and then 3 of each melee squad. If you need to, you can go to either side. Um, so yeah, it's 5 tanky units to both sides is real good in intercept, and then
Yeah,
just peel one off and run for the safe or the back point.
right.
Uh,
And then he had advanced, cunning, and fortified. I mean,
yep.
all the all those are just keeping the Wookiees alive.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Mark targets. I feel like that's got to be a staple secondary for Wookiees, right? I mean,
It,
especially if you're running.
yeah, essentially, it's also kind of weird with them because it's like sweep and clear is really good, especially you can get breakthrough because you're getting in there and you can get the enemy territory on turn 2. Potentially. Recon is probably better for Wookiees than the. Why can't I think of the other one?
Surface scan.
Yeah, surface scan, just because of the. You don't have to worry about the extra points being scored.
Yeah.
And then.
And your Wookiees are going to be in there within range 2 of your other guys. So
Yeah. And then
a lot
mark
easier.
targets is. I got nothing else to put here. So. Yeah.
But I feel like mark targets brings a pretty well balance. Because I know I tried to, or there's certain lists. Well, obviously, that sounds dumb saying it out loud, but there's certain lists that you want to avoid running mark targets on.
Mm-hmm.
But like talking with Boyd in the Discord earlier, like Empire is typically one that I would be a little bit more willing to run mark targets on. But if you're incorporating like an officer or scouts, which really outside of that Tempest list we were talking about earlier, there's not that many times that you're probably bringing officer. You're probably bringing Krennic for a much more effective bang to your buck.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, having all strong tanky units for your table partner to choose kind of burst the bubble a little bit.
Yeah. And on to the top 8 here. Hey, what do you know? It's more rebels.
A lot of red.
Yeah. So here we go. Here's that pattern we're starting to see. We've got Commander Luke with Mind Trick, Underworld Connections, Seize, Boba with the Flame Projector, Bad Batch with Omega, 2 Naked Rebels, 1 Rebel with the Ion Gun, and the Trooper Squad upgrade, and Recon Intel. 1 Sleeper Cell with the Astromech, 2 ATRTs with the Laser Cannon, an AA5 with Unorthodox Tactician, and an X-34 Land Speeder with the RPS, A300 rifle, Hotshot Pilot, and Ion Blaster. So, yeah, it's pretty cool seeing a Land Speeder.
It is. I mean, that was definitely not, looking at it and thinking about, all right, what are the units that we're probably going to see? We're going to see Bad Batch. We're going to see a bunch of fleet troopers. We're going to see ATRTs. We're going to see ARCs. Land speeder,
Yeah.
not part of the conversation, which, I mean, it gets into ready to dive more into that other CIS list that is not the experimental droids, because that was also one where it's like, yeah, wasn't expecting anything like this to pop up and do as well as it did. So shout out to these guys for, I mean, it always goes back like, yes, some units are better than others, but in the hands of the right pilot, you can make units do what they need to do. So
Wow, I didn't look at the command hand before the video. That is a command hand that I would never have guessed going up against this list. Whipcord, Sabotage Communications, the Boba's Flame Projector, Turning the Tide, so the Rebel generic card for the 2-pip. We Do What We Do, and I'm a Jedi.
yeah,
Wow.
no Son of Skywalker. None of like Daimo Boba's cards. It's all OG Empire Boba's cards.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Very
And I'm
very interesting.
besides that, I would have one question for them, and that would be how effective was the Rebel Trooper Super Squad? Would they have felt better getting rid of that and maybe putting another ion gun out there and then throwing something else on their sleeper cell, like targeting the scopes
Targeting
or what?
scopes.
Yeah.
Yeah, targeting scopes.
Or they'd have
think
room for up close and personal on them, or give
I
something
was
else
about
to
to say,
Boba.
yeah, art up close and personal. I mean, this one wasn't as bad because two of Boba's cards are on there. So
Hmm.
typically, I like to run C's whenever I'm running Boba.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm very curious, and I'm curious to see too. Like I know later on this week we're gonna get with some of the guys that actually got into play. I know we're getting Nuclear Potato that got first, Daniel from Houston with the Space City Command that it got fifth, and Master Mud to see kind of some of their thoughts. But I'm curious if, and it's all gonna come changing here in a couple months.
yeah,
Hopefully, it's not as drastic as a change as 2.6 was, but um, if we're going to start see some of the like mega squads go away just for scoring purposes, kind of a similar argument of what we were talking about with the ATSTs. Like it's like, yeah, if you got these big hairy audacious units that are going to be an issue, can you just avoid them because they still only score one victory point whenever they're on a POI? Or do you just try to sink everything into them and get rid of them? I I have definitely gone away from super squads. I mean, mostly because I'm running Gar, and outside of strategically playing with your points, most of the time I'd rather just take a naked unit of clones. But um, I'm not running around with Yoda fives and a DP with a super squad.
yeah.
I still have nightmares about that.
I think that's really the only one in Gar though that you do. I don't think you do it in Republic if you um, don't have fives in the squad, because just being able to split fire on top of being able to charge in with a fierce weapon, um, and like keep that alive long enough for it to be effective. It's just the split fire and having, what is it, 9 black dice going one way and 3 black, 2 red, pierce one going another way. Like that can easily take 2 units.
Right.
um, and so like I know the fleet super squad with their shotgun is also terrifying, but again, that's also got charge and Pearson melee. Um,
Right.
I
Because
mean
the
the
fleet super squad you're looking at, if you've got the,
oh, it's
I'm
terrible.
assuming you've got the scatter. Yeah, you've got
It's so bad.
2 red and
Uh, it's
like
18 white. Yeah, 2 red, 18 white, pierce one. What was it? Jordan did that to me at Crucible, or not Crucible, at
Mhm.
PAX, and he did 9 wounds to a single Wookiee squad. So I was, or it might have even been more than 9 wounds, but it almost wiped the unit with one shot.
Oh, because fleet surge both ways.
Yep.
Yeesh.
um,
Mm.
so that's pretty good. I mean, the B1 horde is just obnoxious, but it's effective.
Yeah.
And the
I mean,
Ewoks, because
super. Yeah.
yeah,
The B2 super squad is still one. I've never had to play against it yet. Knock on wood. Some of the guys in my local community were running it, and then kind of same thing. They kind of got to the conclusion that they'd rather have the extra unit to score versus just
hmm,
this big mass of death. Um, but like, still don't know because that one has the defensive capacity as well as a huge offensive output. That, I mean, you can't ignore that. That's one where I would feel completely confident just no, we're gonna focus in and try to chew through some of these, because if they get to me, they're gonna chew through me.
Yeah. Well, uh, while we're talking about them, later on, we're going to see a list that really dove deep into super squads. As a little sneak preview into the top 4, we're going to see one of those.
Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah. Shall we go
Oh,
to
number 7, right?
yes. Yes, 7th. So go ahead.
All right. Come on, Longshanks, play well with me. You got the ring of death. It's like you spent too much time talking about super squads.
Yes.
All right, here we go. So we've got Han Solo with improvised, up close and personal, and environmental gear. Lando with vigilance, situational awareness. I've altered the deal. He's got Bad Batch with Omega. OP Luke with burst of speed, force reflexes, hope into the fray. 4 units of rebel troopers, each with the SX, and 3 units of sleeper cells with the Astromet.
Yep.
Lando. That was
I
I
mean,
hadn't
he's pretty good in this when you've got 4 units that have command cards.
yeah. Yeah, I mean that's a lot.
Yeah. And it'd be very I'd love to hear how often he kept Lando as a commander versus an operative, because there's benefits either way. Like
Mm-hmm.
it gives uh, well, I guess no, he's got improv, so he probably made him more often than not an operative.
That's what I was thinking, just
Yeah.
to be able to chew through one of those tokens and not be able to save improvise for either operative Luke or Bad Batch.
Yeah. Hope,
Uh,
an upgrade I haven't seen in so long. Inspire 1, I believe it is, for 3
is it
points.
Inspire 1 or Inspire 2? Let's see.
It's gotta be Inspire 1, right?
Mm, there you go. It helps if you add it. So Hope is, yeah, it's just Inspire 1
Man,
for 3 points. So,
yeah.
all right. Yeah, and on operative Luke too.
I mean, he doesn't have points for push, which is big on Luke.
Right. The other one that I was probably expecting that I've seen more often is Jedi Mind Trick. That
Yes.
way, because he's got, you serve your master well as far as his contingencies go. So, um,
Imagine that's why he didn't put it on there. Is just because he's like, if it's in the contingencies, it's like we'll hot swap into it kind of thing.
yeah,
If it was in his main hand, I would be more surprised, I guess, without having it. But
yeah,
yeah, it's a lot
um,
of. It's a lot.
it
Uh,
is, because yeah, you definitely have plenty of options as far as command cards go. Sorry about that. So yeah, I mean he's loaded to the nines. OP Luke and the lads.
oh man, yeah, it is a solid list. This is actually it's very similar to I played Nick Bodnar recently in
Mm,
After PAX, and this is very close to what he had, except he had a bus and some other upgrades were swapped around. But it was like Han, Lando, Bad Batch, and Luke, and then everything else. uh, yeah, goodness. Alrighty, on to number 6. Ah, yes. I know a veteran of this show for having been talked about. we have Mowgli. It is now 18 activations because, hey, guess what? There's Sleeper Cell, and it's real good. But we have Leia with Improv, Rebel Officer with Portable Scanner, 3 vets with Comms Tech and HQ, 2 vets that are naked, 1 vet that has a smoke grenade, 6 Merc 2s, 2 sleeper cells with the astromech and transponders, and 2 flamer ATRTs.
Did he have flamers on at Crucible?
No, he had laser cannons.
Okay.
Yeah. Or no, he didn't have anything on them. No, they were naked.
He was stripped down to get to that 21 acts.
Yeah. But yeah, it's I mean, I would absolutely lose the 3 activations to gain 2 sleeper cells.
100%.
Yeah.
Ooh, his primaries are kind of. Well, I guess it's not that surprising. I would have thought that we would have seen Recover. And
Yeah.
honestly, I probably would have figured we'd seen Intercept. I wouldn't have suspected that we would have gotten Bunker and Close the Pocket.
Oh no, I can tell you he hates Intercept. And solely because of the token being able to essentially say his activation count means nothing.
Write that down.
Believe me, he wouldn't let me have it the 2 times that we played. As much as I wanted it. Yeah, I think the only one I would have swapped out was Bunker for, like you were saying, for Recover. But I know he was also kind of hesitant about that as well when I talked to him at Crucible. But yeah, no, it's still solid. It's still a lot to deal with, and it's like, oh no, you killed something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I think they were talking on stream about, like how obviously round 1 for your pass token generation that you get from that difference, like that kind of plays effect into it. But I guess, have you noticed in games that kind of after round 1, the, I guess, potency of what the pass function does kind of diminishes some?
I would, for the most part, yes. After round 1, yeah. With a couple exceptions, and that's mostly if you would have some like key pieces that are already engaged in melee, and like depending on how the board layout is, like maybe it's like, okay, whatever. The only other time I tend to see it gain efficacy again would be when you get to like rounds, I want to say maybe round 3, but more than likely round 4 and 5, when you draw the token of a dead unit and you don't have anything else to replace it with, and you get that free pass. That can oftentimes be a good time to do a pass, because more often than not, too, that's going to be a big piece anyways. So now you're saving your other big pieces.
Yeah. That's true. I haven't in my games, I haven't been that far off from activations to where it's, pass tokens are really a thing. I think I might have had one of my last games. I might have had 1 pass token in the beginning, and but it was one of those situations where they drew advance, so it's like, okay, pass, and it's like, well, I see your pass, and I pass, so just kind of undid itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So we are jumping over to Mr. Daniel, who is actually going to be joining us on stream later this week. So Daniel has been running this list for quite some time. I think I was talking with one of the TOs, and he's 28-0 with this as far as
Goodness.
tournament games.
So
And
now
he's
add on 5-1, I guess.
5-1, so he's sitting at 33-1 with this list as far as competitive play goes.
Gross.
And he's come in first for the past three local tournaments that have gone on. So I mean, this is a tried and true. He has worked out the kinks, and even you can go back on day 2 and watch his stream against Austin Miller, and I mean, it was a great game. So hats off to Daniel. Definitely looking forward to getting to talk to him a little bit more later on and seeing, kind of what was the thought process behind putting this list together. And so that is Commander Luke with Versa Speeds, Seas, and Prepared Supplies. He's got Han with Seas and Environmental Gear. He's got 5 Rebel Troopers, all with the Ion. He's got a 6 Rebel Trooper with the Astromech and Environmental. He's got 1 unit of Sleeper Cell with HQ targeting scopes and O-Push. 3 ATRTs with the laser cannon. And then an AA5 with Unorthodox, the Rider, and Heavy Laser retrofit. So it's
Yeah.
a beast, I know. Those ions, man. Talking with Master Mode and actually the TO that I chat with on almost a daily basis, they both run CIS, and they're like, his ion is just not something to want to see whenever you're running a droid list.
Yeah. I mean,
But
honestly, it's not something I want to see if I decide to in a GAR list either, because realistically right now, the only GAR counter to armor is armor. Because the RPS just feels really bad right now.
the RPS feels really bad. Hopefully, R will change that up some. And we were talking with I think it was Bo in the guard chat earlier. You can do some things with the impacts on arcs. I've been running naked arcs with Into the Fray, targeting scopes, and impact, so it makes things a little bit easier. But like Bo was saying, he was running against a lot of speeders. And my one buddy in Austin that I play against, he just like die hard thematic. His list is always gonna be something of echo base, so he's always running his speeder as well. So in that environment, impacts don't do much for me. But um, I mean, if you can get your clone commandos in a good spot, that anti-armor config, if you put, well, even just the config by itself can be pretty solid.
Yeah.
I know if I'm running them, I'm typically trying to take Delta and I have HQ on them. That way, if I've got to use it one turn, I'm just going to not give them an order the next. That way, they can recover it and use it again right then and there. But yeah, it's still hard because that's only impact 4. So what
Yeah.
happens whenever you're going against something that's like the buff or the ATST, to where you're getting into that true like armor 5?
Yep. Oh, gosh. Yeah.
So
Have you ever seen an AA5 with Ryder Azadi drop off sleeper cells before?
I have not, and I don't want to.
It's so far.
Yeah.
It's further than a speed 3 scout plus a. It's so gross. Yeah.
But let's see. Yeah, he's got all of his let's see, Son of Skywalker, I Am Jedi, My Allies Force, Sorry About the Mess, Change of Plans. Yeah, he's got this kitted out very well. And kind of the same thing, not surprised by any of the primaries that he's got on there.
Yeah.
Isn't it that if you're running the speeder truck on shifting, you can kind of like block where that POI is going to get moved to?
I would imagine so, but I mean, I would imagine that's kind of with any unit, though.
Yeah, I'm thinking, what was it Kyler was talking about? One of his first games where he had two trucks and basically just like blocked in one of the POIs on shifting to where it either
Yeah.
didn't move or it just shifted back to his other unit of guys. So
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. Yeah. Ew. um, yeah.
getting to top four.
Top four. So you remember how we were talking about super squads? This is a very different CIS list. This is 11 activations with a naked Poggle, a Maul with Saber Throw, a single naked Geonosian warrior, 5 Geonosian warriors with the Super Squad, and 3 staffs, 1 with HQ and 2 with LTA. I mean, I love seeing staffs in a list. I I if I saw this list across from me at first, I think I would say, where's your actual list? Because I would not believe what I was seeing.
And it's top four. I mean,
Yeah.
I think out of all the speeders, that was probably the one that I discounted the most was
Oh, yeah.
Stax. And to have 3 of them, honestly, the other thing, so I get like shifting, but I would have thought like, well, bunker makes sense as well. But as mobile as this list is, I figured he'd probably have recover and be able to just like move those mega squads really far to just get on an unplanned or a lightly contested POI just to roll a jazz ton of dice. I just went through a video talking about like things to make sure that you do whenever you go to tournaments and like making sure that you have at least, I think it was suggested to at least have like 16 of each die. And it's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I'm pretty sure I've got enough of that. And then I look at this list and I'm like, I would have to probably buy 2 more packs to feel confident to
Yeah.
roll out this list and not be like, oh, hey, can I borrow a white dice or two?
Yeah, because it's what? It's 4 in the base squad. They also get 5 like the regular ones, so it's 18 dice, or 9 black, 9 white for the Geonosian Warriors, the Super Squad.
And
Ah,
they can, I mean,
it's,
they can pop out with their jump and just close distance like no tomorrow. And at
yeah.
that point, if they're going back to the same TO in Houston, his stick is Geos. He loves Geos. He's been very proud of the fact that he can wipe out a red safe commander with a mega squad of Geos. And it's like at that point, they've done their job. My cost is like half on the super squad versus it running against 501st and having a 200 plus point Anakin
Mhm.
coming up because he's got push, tenacity, burst into the fray. I mean, he's kitted out to the nines.
Yeah.
If he loses that one squad of Geos, he ain't worried about it if he's taking out Anakin. He's got his kill points. So he's good. So shout out Zach if you're watching this. Talking about you, bud.
Yeah, this is I bring them to heel is probably the only thing that doesn't make sense to me. Um,
You feel like well, I guess Mark targets can.
yeah,
Kind of that
because
same thing.
that's just you make the jumbo squads, right? When you
Yeah.
can.
Well, because I always think, like we were saying, if I'm playing against this list, yeah, he's probably making his jumbo squads his two mark targets,
Mm-hmm.
but then I'm putting a mark target on his one naked geo and probably one of his traps. Or actually, better yet, I'm probably putting them both on straps because as mobile as those geos are, he can play hide and seek and keep them away from
Mm-hmm.
line of sight for a while. But I
It's
would think that those are, and that's my own naiveness looking at this top four CIF list, saying that I'm not worried about straps.
I mean, outside of unless Maul takes a standby and no one like shoots off the standby, everything in this list can triple move. That's insane.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is a
Um,
highly mobile list.
yeah, because
I'll
you.
bet you.
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, any of these primary. I was about to say shifting was probably a pain because it's like, okay, there's no way that I'm going to put these, and you could have some. You could go down the middle and split and still touch any
Mm-hmm.
of the 5 points. But same thing with breakthrough. I mean, if you wanted to sit there to the end and then just bombard your table partner with it, it's
Yeah, because like breakthrough, you're going to be able to stop someone from scoring their safe point faster than anyone else.
mm-hmm.
Close the pocket, you're going to score the middle for 2 points faster than anyone else. Just shifting, you laugh at a half range move. um, Goodness, yeah, yeah.
Gigioto show. That's awesome. Cause I mean, just like that, how you were saying everyone but Maul. I mean, Jiro lets you do that extra action, so it's like, all right, taking this to the bank.
Yeah.
Um,
And at the very least, everything can double attack or double move and attack in the
yeah.
list. Oh man.
So,
Yeah.
and then do snaps let you? Do they have an overrun function?
No, but
Okay.
they're agile one, so if they triple move, they have 3 dodges. Their
Jeez.
main problem being that they don't surge either way.
Right.
So if you catch them before they activate, they're going down fast. Um, yeah, and I mean
So
they're going to be a
go
little bit
ahead.
awkward with their AI, I guess, just because you only
Yeah.
have Poggle, and Poggle can still triple move, but they can move so much faster. So I'd be very curious how that works. But I mean,
Right.
you're
Because
also got HQ uplink, so maybe you don't care unless that one goes down first. Oh gosh, yeah.
yeah. Oh well. Okay. So that's an interesting point too, though. Looking at it, because I guess he's got to be feeding the other two, or I would assume there's a good chance that he is feeding the other two orders because they're having that link targeting away.
Well,
So
they have coordinate vehicle too. So they, if once the HQ goes off, assuming they're in range, all 3 have orders now.
gotcha. So
Um,
yeah, turn one, start the chain. Turn two, you can do HQ.
yeah. Oh gosh,
Yeah.
that's the list I would love to talk about with the who ran this list.
Let's see. I
Fourth,
wonder.
Cubone. I would love to talk to Keybone just to
Yeah,
hear some things about this list and how things went. Because my goodness,
yeah.
it is something else.
Oh yeah, I'm curious to see whenever Shadow Scout talks with Austin. That was the only. That was Cubone's only loss was to Austin. So I'm curious to
Okay.
see how he felt about it and how he kind of dealt with it, because it, back to what you were initially saying, it's one that as it would pull up to the table, you're like, "Are you sure?" And then probably like halfway through turn two, you're sitting there scratching your head, like, "Am I sure about this?"
Pretty much. Oh, yeah. Oh, goodness.
All right, so number 3 is our EXDs. He's got Kraken with aggressive tactics, O push, comms, relay. He's got a T series with improvise, 2 naked B1s, some more super squads with 2 B2 super squads, each with the Ha. He's got 2 of the BX with the snipers, fiber swords, and impacts, and 3 droidicas.
Oh, man.
Seems like an odd pairing having the sniper and the vibro.
Yeah, maybe it's just for flexibility. Um, and maybe it's just like, what else are you going to put 6 points or 12 points towards? Because you've got. Does Kraken have exemplar? I don't remember.
Kraken does have
Does. Yeah.
exemplar.
Yeah, because you've got double exemplar. So, huh. Um,
I mean, don't get me wrong, the BX snipers are phenomenal.
mhm.
That's just a lot of extra points going towards something that you're probably, well, let's see.
Well, and also speaking of super squads, it's 2B2 super squads. I didn't even realize before.
Yeah.
Oh man.
With the Ha too, I haven't seen a lot of Ha. I feel like the super squads, just because of their price point, a lot more people have just been taking the ACM
hmm
over the Ha. But I mean, don't get me wrong, could you imagine all those dice coming at you range 2 and
Yeah.
just completely negating cover from blast?
Yeah.
Like,
Good. Yeah.
regardless of how people feel about the new cover, if I have a super squad shooting at me and I'm in heavy cover, like, I'm feeling pretty good. To tack on blast is,
Why you got to put salt in the wound?
yeah. You're gonna laugh at me too.
hmm
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, close the pocket. That's definitely funneling a lot through. Um, Shifting's not bad, and
Yep.
then breakthrough. Oof.
Yep. Yeah, it all makes sense.
So, I mean, I guess I'm still kind of. I'd like to talk with this gentleman, Mr. Michael Stubbs. If you're listening, please let us know what's. Still so curious about the sniper. Like, shifting, I get you can throw shots pretty early on, but man, range 5 is like range infinity on these tables now. With the way deployment goes, so you just like really throwing shots on breakthrough, or
I mean, I guess you almost always have potential Pierce with the exemplar, but so I mean, it feels weird with the vibro swords, but impact grenades too go well with the vibro swords, and yeah, it's goodness. It's still, I'm just, yeah. All right. Well, I guess, should we go to the top 2 then?
Top 2.
All right. Back to Rebels. And we got Austin Miller here. Just some random guy walking off the street. Definitely hasn't been around.
Never heard of him.
He's got Operative Luke. So, first Operative Luke we've seen for a little bit. Besides the one that was the quad hero hammer. This one is burst of speed, force push, mind trick, into the fray. Pretty much the classic way to build Operative Luke. We have 2 fleets with the scattergun, astromech, and one of them has impact grenades. 4 shotgun rebels with captain. 3 sleepers with astromechs. 2 AA5s. Both have onboard comms, and 1 has Shriv. Yeah.
I remember first seeing it and having to do a double take because I was like, wait a second, what? Making the AA5 your commander. I mean, hey, gives plenty of room for Operative Luke to shine and shine well with all the command cards that you want to be bringing with him.
Which he did not bring either Luke 2-pip. Huh. I mean, I get Turning Tide because you have 0 Inspire, so that makes sense for sure. And Push is, I mean, probably just the value of flexibility would be my guess.
I can see it going in with getting his speeder trucks into position kind of in key moments because, I mean, realistically, you're not having any other support, so just kind of having that flexibility. And then same thing with, either the trucks or his 2 of his sleeper cells, being able to kind of save them and let them stay in the back.
It's probably all 4. I forgot because they changed onboard comms. So for those who don't see it too often, onboard comms now has Coordinate Trooper.
It does.
So yeah, that's 4 units out of your bag, potentially. So that's pretty good.
Yeah. So both push and turning tides, you're able to take those 2 and multiply it to 4, and then having everything that you want on Operative Luke to go in and wreak havoc. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, solid list.
Don't know who this Austin Miller guy is, but he might have played like a game or 2 before coming to this tournament.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a spur of the moment decision.
Nah, he threw this list together. He walked up the store with these guys and said, "All right, let's see what I can make do with this."
Yep.
Jokes on us because I don't think you can find fleets or speeder trucks right now.
Probably very few sleeper cells out there as well.
Yeah.
And I think Operative Luke is out of stock now too.
Is he? I know Sleeper Cell, they were doing like crazy promotions on them because they started off out the gate at like 55, but I know both copies that I've picked up. Actually, I've bought 3. One was a gift to a buddy that only runs Rebels, and I was like, "Here you go. You need one of these." And it was discounted, so I was like, "All right, well, I got to pick me one up too." And then the other one, I was like, all right, well, I'm just gonna wait, see. It was around Christmas time, and then Christmas time passed, and they went back up, but then they went on sale again, and I was like, Nah, why not? These
Yeah.
guys are lonely.
Yeah. You can definitely see him in a few streamed games as well, which we should shout out where you can find these videos at. That well,
Imperial Goldfish.
yes, yeah. So go check them
Was
out on YouTube. There's many many streamed games. They did all 3 days. But yeah, definitely go check them
yeah.
out.
I know a couple of the guys that we've talked about, and some of the matchups were definitely great watches. I didn't get to watch Austin and the next gentleman that we're talking about, Mister Nuclear Potato. But I did get to watch Daniel go up against Austin. It was good. I did love how um the commentators from Imperial Goldfish was like, Austin Miller, that is one tall individual.
Yep. he and his dad are both very tall people.
But
Yeah. Well, shall we go to the to number one?
number one undefeated this week was, or weekend, I should say, Clan of Shadows' very own, another local Florida man, Michael, aka Nuclear Potato. Um, so yeah, he's got the fart list, and I need to ask him that whenever we record this next video. In everything that he does, his list and his Discord, there's always some kind of reference to flatulence. So curious to see what the inside scoop on that is. But so he was running Han with up close and personal, Leia with Underworld, improvised orders, and portable scanners. He had the Bad Batch with Omega, Din Djarin with comms relay, flame projector, jetpack, and the Beskar sphere. 3 units of naked rebel troopers, 1 unit of fleet troopers with impact, the scatter gun, and the personnel upgrade. 2 rebel sleeper cells with astromech and targeting scopes. 1 Ewok slinger with the forest dwellers, and 2 ATRTs, one kitted out with a laser cannon and one kitted out with a flamethrower.
Yeah.
That's a hero hammer for sure.
Yeah. And I wonder how many times he got a bounty.
That's true.
Yeah, that's the only bounty hunter in not either top 8, but one of 2. One Din and one Boba. That was it.
Right. And there were a couple close games too where, that could have made the difference. Looks like his first game was 9-9, went to kill points. And then his second to last game was 10-10, went to kill points. And his last game against the Austin Miller was 12-11. So
Yeah.
it was right there neck and neck where that bounty would have came in and made a difference. So
Like, is his game 4 what? All right. When he comes on, how did he score in one game 17 points and another game 19 points? What?
oh, because it doesn't even show on game 3 what the battle cards were. Because destroy bunker. Yeah,
Yeah.
that can definitely throw a good bit up. Still to rack up. What's the cap? I thought the cap was like
There's not a cap. It's just someone reaches 12 and the game ends. So that means he scored 8 points on the last turn of game 4
on round 4.
Yeah, round 4 or round 5, whatever, or round 3, whatever. It had to be
Yeah.
4 or 5.
Yeah, well, Yeah, it looks like he went to round 4 on that game.
Well, that's the round of the
Right.
tournament. Yeah. So yeah, he would have had to score 8 points for game 4 on the last turn of the game, and 6 points at least on the last turn of game 2. Which, I mean, is less than, it seems a little bit more reasonable,
Right.
especially with like recon. If you can get them to drop the objective, you do that. So that's 3 points. And then destroying a bunker, I think, gets you there,
Yeah,
maybe?
destroying the bunker will give you 4.
Well, that's the secondary one, right?
Right. Because
Because that,
that's the
so yeah, the destroy enemy base is the secondary. So for the primary bunker, I think you get 3 points, if I remember correctly. But yeah, so that makes a little bit more sense, but still getting 11 and jumping up to 17. This is wild.
yeah. Interesting to note as well. Don't know why some of it's missing for his 4th game, but
Mm-hmm.
most of his games he had cunning as his advantage. I know everybody's been on the advanced intel kick, so kind of nice to see something a little bit different on the table.
Yeah.
But um,
All right. Well,
that's yeah. I'm just looking at this list and kind of like some of the other ones we've gone over and talked about, and it's like when that pulls up to the table, what where does your mind go to start formulating a game plan on
I
how
don't
you're
know.
going to run with this?
Yeah, it's gosh, I have had an issue with even before 2.6. Rebels were my least favorite faction to play against, just because they have so much um, flexibility
Yeah,
that it's hard to figure out where best to go. And it just seems that if you can bring line of sight blockers, it even makes it worse.
yeah. I'm very curious. So obviously it was a much more balance on the open, but as far as the invitational, I mean, we had the one list, Mr. Isaac's list for Empire, that was 13th. He went 4-2 on, but um, it would have been one of those things. I used to think in Legacy Legion that Empire was by far your most flexible because you could kind of do whatever you wanted to. If you wanted to run a very strong gun line, you could do that. If you wanted to be much more aggro, you can go with the original Commander Vader and Dewback list. There was a lot of different flavors that you can run, and actually, I think it was one of the first lists before I even got into Legion that really kind of inspired my buyings. I think it was Austin Miller's 2022 Worlds list that was a double bounty with Boba and Bosk. Because I really wanted to run a double bounty with Boba and IG-88.
Mhm.
And that was the list that I was really wanting to make my debut on until Legacy got kicked to the curb. And I was able to add an ATST to my double bounty list, but bounty was significantly less effective. And adding that APST, it was a true smorgasbord of a bag because I think I had one of every token in the bag. So art of control was not a thing.
Fair.
That was actually my first game against Shadow Scout was with that revised list, and it was rough. It wasn't that bad, but that was still trying to figure out prepare positions,
Hmm.
and my source which were my pride and joy. Loved Legacy Shores. Um, I think he wiped him out turn one on that game. So he was playing 5-0 first with strike themes. So it's
Yep.
like, oh, I'm gonna scout move 2 aims, shoot Pierce. And yeah, they didn't last very long, but
Yep. I feel that pain.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, so that is the LVO recap. Like I said, we will have some guys doing some interviews later on. I know Shadow Scout's going to be getting with Mr. Austin Miller, and then we're going to take some time talking with Daniel from Space City, along with our own Nuclear Potato and Master Mode, to see kind of their thoughts, see what kind of went into their list, their funnest games, what they enjoyed the most, and kind of get some of their thoughts on kind of the state of the game right now as far as 2.6 is going, and how it compares to Legacy Legion, if there's stuff that they'd missed or go back to. Guess what's your feel right now, Graham? Are you getting a lot of games in? And in those games, are you finding something new each time, or you kind of feel like you've gotten pretty well into the saddle with it?
Um. Yes. It's. I don't, goodness. I am enjoying 2.6. So, like, there are things I do not like. Um, but for the most part, I am still enjoying it and having or finding ways to have fun and whatnot. Um, I think it's still just. I really just have to kind of like play in the moment right now. Is kind of the
Mm-hmm.
best way, just because it's so like everyone else says, it's so bizarre and like weird to play a game that's in limbo. And normally that's because like you're waiting for some kind of update, but we literally have half half a game. We have Schrodinger's game essentially. It's both legacy and a new game all at the same time. So it's a little strange. And I honestly, at this point, I'm mostly just looking forward to finally having a complete game again after
Mm-hmm.
Adepticon. Um, and then just being able to go forward with that.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think all in all, my experience so far with 2.6 is a net positive. There's a couple things that kind of, like you were saying, I'm not necessarily crazy about. I think for the most part, there's been a lot of things that I love the immersion that Star Wars Legion brings. And there's only a handful of things with 2.6 that just really kind of break it for me. And it's still, especially like getting more into the competitive scene too, um, having it like hard set, like, oh no, like I've got cover here. And it's like, well, yes, you're within half range, but you're not really covered there.
Yeah.
Or before, made the investment after playing a couple games with the guys over at Space City of the Army Painter line of sight laser.
Hmm.
So nice. But going through and like before, it's like, okay, well, no, I have this nice piece of terrain that's in the middle of us that, we could both benefit cover from. And it's like, well, that's non existent anymore because we are not at half range. I've
Yeah.
also made the investment of the little Milwaukee 6.5-inch tape measure to
Mm-hmm.
where you can hurry up and check it without having to rely on the 3D printed tools. But
Hmm.
um, I
Yeah.
decided to start getting getting some more games in, and just like that, seeing what a bang up job the three guys from Space City did this weekend, getting to start playing more regularly with
Mhm.
people at that caliber, is definitely something that I'm excited for.
Yeah.
But kind of like I was telling Nuclear Potato, my local community is still like at least a 2 hour commute. So
Yeah,
it's it's tricky. But
I feel that.
one of the things that we did not discuss, and I don't know, I feel like we're probably doing pretty heavy on time. But we did not, although they came out on Friday, we did not get to see crabs or aquas in LVO at all. So
Yes.
in World, that is something that we're going to see. And although we don't have any card information yet, ours are going to be out prior to World.
Yes.
So I don't know if they're going to draw the line and do a hard cutoff. I think it's like a week difference between the release and the actual tournament at Adepticon. So
Yeah, because they didn't do anything when Asajj came out. Because she came out like a few days before, or something like that. Or no, was it Geonosians? It was one of
it
those
was,
two.
I think it was Geos.
Yeah, they came out like
Um,
right before, and they were still legal. They yeah.
yeah,
So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I will
yeah,
say, probably the thing I'm looking forward to the most right now is just having all the components that I can tell someone, hey, you want to start playing Legion? Buy this. Like,
yeah.
I've yeah, multiple people I want to teach people the game, and multiple people have been like, hey, like what should I do? And like, well, go to the hardware store.
Well, the other tough thing that Fifth Trooper was talking about too was like, as far as Asmodee's website goes,
Mhm.
I think most of the core boxes are gone.
Yeah,
So
the original one is gone, and also the Essentials kit is been out of stock for a while too. So
yeah,
unless you can find one locally, I mean, you can just use a tape measure if you want to, but hey, that's one of the reasons why I got into this game is to not use tape measures.
yeah. Oh
um,
no, I by all means, the little 6.5 inch tape measure that I bought is strictly for laying out the board. I am not trying to. I love my little range tools.
yeah.
I know we've talked about that a couple of times with
Hmm.
Kyler. No, I really enjoy having my set tools. These are how it is. I have a core set and essentials kit, so I have like multiple copies of each.
Yep.
As far as my POIs, like I went fancy and ordered from Curl Paw
Oh yeah.
to get some nice acrylic half range tools and
Yep.
POI points. So
Yep. I just have metal washers. They're machines, so I know they're good.
that's true. That is very true. But um, yeah, I'm curious to see what it is that is going to be the big like ground shaking thing, because I know a lot of people are talking about having scouting party on the crabs are going to be really good, and keeping crabs once they get onto a POI, you
Hmm.
know, how to go about dealing with them there. But we were talking a lot today as far as, you know, aqua droids are probably not going to make quite the splash as far as like, oh, well, aqua droids are just like running in and killing things,
Hmm.
but they are going to be more or less delivering a full health Dooku into round two, beginning of round three.
Hmm.
And what do you do with that? Because he's not just deploying, you know, he's moved quite a bit into where he needs to be. And I think your base troop, like if you really wanted to cut down on points and just do the three aquas, it's still a range 1 band, so it's still like a 6-inch band of minis marching at you.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah,
that's not. It's gonna be. It's gonna be interesting.
yeah, and you won't have to worry about the because what that should be like if they're all next to each other, that should be right about the same length as a snail.
Oh yeah,
So it'd be something about there, but they don't have a restriction on a firing arc. So, gosh,
they don't.
uh, it's it's gonna be a lot.
Yeah, and even just looking at because they're armor 2, right? Armor
Mhm.
2, white surging dice. I mean, those aren't gonna be a joke by any means because they're infiltrating. So
Yep.
yes, they're speed 1, but they pop up right where they need to be, and even a speed 1 move on that size base. I mean, that's
Mhm.
like tauntaun size basis,
Yep.
right? So
Yeah.
you're covering some distance with them,
All right.
and they're going to be able to soak up, like, because we were talking about, basically, how would you feel like you would have to play them, and I would do as close to a last first as possible. They'd be second last.
Mhm.
Go ahead, infiltrate, get where they need to get. My last activation is going to be Dooku, get them right behind them, tucked in nice and close, and then use giving them an order each time because now Dooku has direct, so he can just say, "Hey, I need you to do this now." Um,
Well, he can't
where the
direct them because they're a vehicle.
mm,
But I mean, you could even do it the other way around too, where Dooku goes first, and then it's like, oh no, I have to cohere forward my aqua droids when they go next, and now you can't see him.
yeah,
It pretty much like, sucks to suck. uh, yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. I'm curious to see if, or in the list that they're taken, is it just gonna be like a one of, and it's like very purposeful to do that, or is it gonna be like two of, and they're just doubling down? Um, the Have you seen a picture of them next to like a regular trooper, like a regular?
yes.
They're smaller than I
Um,
thought they were gonna be.
they are, they are a bit smaller than I thought. Especially like looking at them whenever I see them next to a crab, which I mean I get, but like those crabs aren't a joke either, as far as
Yeah,
like just how wide they are.
yeah. Well, and how
I
they
know,
modeled them too.
yeah. Well, and I believe they were saying on stream for LVO that it is confirmed that they are line of sight blocking.
Yes.
So yeah, I'll be interested to see. I think we had talked about it here one time that you could take your two models and basically have both of them
Yes.
standing up in like a tarantula pose.
Yes.
But,
Doing the crab dance,
mhm.
trying to figure out how to do that. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I was just expecting them to be closer to like an ATRT height, and
Mhm.
not just like about the same height as the Dark Trooper that's has the rocket boot going.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking around like a tauntaun height was I guess what I had envisioned on them. Because yeah, they did. I was surprised by their stature being a little bit smaller. Also look like, and this is just a random thing, but I feel like for both the crab and the aqua, the plastic is actually like a little bit darker out the box.
Okay.
Just the weird one-off thing, and then everybody's posting about the the new order token that comes with them too.
Yes.
But I think somebody in Fifth Trooper had said that it makes sense because one is for red player and one is for blue. That way, if you're running a mirror, you don't have copies of both and get confused as to, oh, well, that's mine. It's like, no, that's mine.
Yeah. I just hope people have bags with them if that's the situation. And it's not just like a Ziploc bag that's see-through.
Yeah.
But
Good
yeah, no, I mean, it is a good
travel
idea.
bag.
Yeah. Hopefully we see that going forward. And it'll be a good indicator once we get the ARFs. And what was... Oh, goodness. Yeah. Yeah. It's exciting times. It's... I'll say it now. Hey, Rebels, you ready to get nerfed?
Yeah. Sleeper cells going up, fleets going up.
What, Commander Luke going up?
I don't feel like he's gonna go up as much as Anakin's still probably gonna go up.
Yeah.
I've heard, and I do agree to some extent that Anakin does still, he's undercosted right now. But he is still, plenty of people still crying about him. So even though, as we've seen throughout this, none of the guard lists that made it had him in there or were 501st Battle Force. So, which there were still plenty of commanders taken on arcs. So it's still doable. I know I've been playing around with the Cody list and trying to figure out how to do a better job of making that list survive melee a little bit better.
Okay.
The Cody Saber and an ISP, 2 ATRTs. I had Rex in there and then had 3 infiltries. So it was putting me around like 11 acts. But love Rex. He just in melee doesn't have the offensive output to contend. So I think I dropped out one of the ATRTs and put Obi in there.
Okay.
And built him fairly aggressive to see how that goes. But yeah, it's still hard for me to. I've played a decent amount of games with Anakin, Rex, and Bad Batch, and it's hard to leave those units at home. They're so fun to play.
That's fair. Yeah.
But curious to see. Hopefully, by the time that this video posts, we will have some information on the ARFs.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll be a little bit better educated as what that looks like, and what they bring to the table. Because heard a lot of speculation, but still just waiting on AMG.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say about them, and then we can probably wind down, is I swear, if they make them somehow white armor saves, it's the same armor. Don't you dare. It's not the scouts from Kashyyyk.
It is the same armor. Yeah, the scouts from Kashyyyk are sitting there in the ISP, and that's why the ISP has white saves, because they don't have the right stuff. Although you can build it with the phase 2. Yeah. I'm curious to see. I'm still very hopeful that we will have red saves, that we will get infiltrate and not prepared. See, that's one that I'm very torn about. Like listening to not Will Fick, but the director, or not director, the creative director, Will.
Yes.
On his interview with
Pagani.
Gray Squadron. Yes, Pagani.
Yeah.
Whenever he was talking about like prepared positions and talking about it as like laying it out thematically, it's like these are the guys that are like in the heat of battle, they're already on it, they're already fighting, and the rest of the guys are like coming into the battle. It's like, okay, that makes prepared positions in my mind so much better. Putting my guys out on the table for them to, basic. I would much rather just deploy them as normal because then at least I feel like their moves are valuable versus putting them so tucked away and then moving them out to where it's like, all right, I still feel like I'm gaining the same distance or doing the same thing. So
Yeah.
that's my one and only gripe that I'll leave for the end of the show.
Yes. Oh yeah. Well, I guess we'll.
Well, all right, guys. Tune in later on. Like I said, we'll have some interviews from some of these top contenders over at LVO, and we'll get some more stuff going.
All right. Yeah. See you guys around.